Awesome. Welcome, you guys, to Living in Brittney's Bubble. Today, I have Amy Fedosky with Staging Dallas. So excited to have you.
Excited to be with you.
So today, whether this is for all homeowners, so whether you are looking to sell your home in next week or in the next 12 months, or if you just want to hang around and hear some awesome hacks that Amy has for some household things, this is all for you guys. So we're so excited to do that. Amy, so first of all, I know you and I've been working together for a while, but how many years have you been staging for us?
I've been staging since 2012, so 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm about to celebrate my 10th year in 2023. So you and I've been working together
for probably 9 of those 10 years.
I would say so. Amy, what got you into staging? Tell me about that.
I just have a love for two things, educating people and home decor. Okay. In fact, my college degree is education. So that was my actual first profession. And I felt like staging kind of combined both of those things that I love. I like to educate the homeowners on the importance of marketing their property. And it gives me a chance to play around with home decor and make their properties beautiful and help them to get sold quickly.
And that you definitely do. Tell us a little bit about your family. Where are you from? Where you live? All those things.
Well, I mean, I'm from several places, but mostly from Texas. I grew up near Houston, met my husband in college at Southwestern University, which is in Georgetown. We married very young and have 4 children. We have 3 boys and a girl. Our oldest will be 30 in March. He and his wife live in Atlanta, Georgia. And my second son and his wife live in Durango, Colorado, and they're expecting their first child in January.
So excited for you.
And then my third son lives in Tampa, Florida, and he is currently unattached. And my daughter is in college in Abilene.
Awesome.
So that's our little family. I guess it's not so little.
And we love your family. Well, before we get into some staging secrets and all of that jazz, I want to talk about why staging is so important. It's important to the process. It's also important to the seller's bottom line, because we know that when your house sells in the least amount of days, you're going to net more. So that's right. Very, very much important. In September, and I'm going to pull up some stats over here. So in September, now this is for all property types, because Amy, when you're staging, you're not just staging residential, you're staging, or, single family, you're also staging like condos and townhomes and, all of them. So right. I want to include that in this data. And in September, sellers sold their home in Rockwall County at 98.2% of the list price. Mm-hmm. And with a median 22 days on the market. Amy, I know that you've been out there recently in the current market that we're in, you're staging properties. How does that compare? Do you have within the last 90 days or even, hopefully 30, 60 days, do you have any Rockwall data that you can compare that to?
Yeah, so I can share with you like 3 of my most recent stagings. They were all actually staged last week. And the interesting thing is there were 3 different, each job was a different kind of staging. So the first one was a photo style, which is where I just use what the homeowner has in their house. That one sold in 3 days with 12,000 over asking, and actually went into a bidding war.
That's awesome. Where was this one located at, Amy?
That was in McKinney.
Okay, so that was in Collin County.
Collin County.
Okay,
yes.
So before you move on, I want to compare that to Collin County numbers.
Okay.
So you said that went in multiple offers, went under contract in 3 days, you said?
Right.
Okay, and it went over list price. So
over list price.
Over 100% of what the sellers were asking. In Collin County in September, the average for the sales price to list price was 97.2, and it was 23 days on the market. So you blew those numbers out of the park. That's amazing. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so the second one was a hybrid staging, and that one's in Dallas County.
Oh, okay.
So a hybrid is where I use mostly what the homeowners have, but I'll supplement it with artwork, accessories, things like that to give it a more updated look, because a lot of times people can't move out, but they, they need their home to be updated a little bit. So that's where we come in. That one went under contract with 4 days on the market. I have not been told, the agent will not disclose the price until closing. So I don't have that information.
Okay.
But,
do you know if it was above or was it below the list price? Do you know anything?
They will not tell me anything.
Okay. Well, that's okay, because that's still very helpful information. You said that this was in Dallas County, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So for the viewers in Dallas County, this is September numbers. The average for the list price to sales price was 98.1%, and the median days on market was 16 days. So just the fact that you were able to help that agent get their listing under contract in 4 days that's incredible. So that's a fourth of, the time that it's taking right now on average.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. What else do you have, Amy?
Okay. And the last one is a vacant condo.
Okay.
And this one was in Dallas County as well.
Okay.
So we brought in everything to get this condo staged, and it was 4 days on market and 98% of asking price.
Wow.
So,
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I know that there's a lot of viewers out there and sellers that are concerned about, listing in today's market, but I mean, you're a great example of, if you're putting your best foot forward, you're hiring the right professional, you're staging your home and doing those activities, listening to the advice that you're given, your home is going to sell.
Right. I mean, pricing, of course, is super important.
Yeah.
So putting the house on the market at the right price makes that probably makes the biggest difference. Photos and staging also really help set a house apart. So
couldn't agree more.
You can't discount the importance of professional photography too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why we always want to hire the best. So I know that everybody is dying to hear about your tips and some of your secret hacks. And so I'd love to get into that. Okay. Let's start with some of your staging tips that you have for us, Amy. I know that you've put together a list for us, and I can't wait to go through those.
Okay, let's get started.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to do like the David Letterman top 10, although your generation probably doesn't know the David Letterman top 10.
I know, I'm like, what are we talking about here, Amy?
But he always started with number 10, but we're going to go ahead and start with number 1. Okay. So number one tip is clean out your closets, clean out your cabinets, your garage, anything that you don't use regularly or you don't use at all. This is the time to get rid of it. So whether you pack it up or donate it or throw it away, this is the time to really take a deep dive into your possessions and just get rid of anything that's taking up space and not really getting used. A lot of times you'll hear stagers talk about, or even agents talk about decluttering, how important it is to declutter. I prefer the term edit. When I go into talk to a homeowner, I tell them we're not going to declutter because your stuff isn't cluttered. Your stuff are your possessions, they're your memories, they're your mementos. We want to edit them and make, do what we need to do to get your house ready to sell. That tends to make the homeowner a little bit more comfortable and feel less judged. And that's really important when we're staging.
Absolutely. We need a judge-free zone for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Because a lot of people are nervous when they hear that a stager coming in. They think I'm coming in to criticize or judge them, and that's absolutely not the case.
No, absolutely. I'm so glad that you said that. And when you say clean out your closets and your cabinets, what percentage should they be using in their pantry, in their closets? Those
I usually tell them if they can take out a third of the items in their pantry, in their closet, that will give the buyer a good idea of how much space there is without it just looking jam-packed. So if they're living in the house, if it's a vacant home, obviously I don't put anything in the closets, but if they're living in the home, if they can get rid of at least a third, a lot of times that's just taking out of season clothes, or the things, like I said, that you don't use. So The third is that's probably a good number to work with.
Sure. I would say that this tip also does tend to overwhelm sellers. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
where am I going to put everything? If people are going to be viewing my home, I don't want to have a bunch of boxes in my garage.
Right.
And so let's talk a little bit about that too, because the conversation that we tend to have with our sellers is buyers expect to see boxes in your garage. It is okay to
Yes.
use boxes and pack things away that you're not using every day. Would you agree with that, Amy?
I would, yes. But if they don't have room in their garage and they want to use a storage unit, if they're willing to rent a storage unit, if they're willing to hire one of those companies that like pods type thing that will come and pick their things up, of course, that's great too. But not everybody is willing or able to move things completely out of the house. So using the garage, as long as you use it neatly, and don't just open the garage door and toss things in, which I've seen.
Yes, please leave walk paths.
Exactly, because the buyer wants to see the garage too, and they want to know how much room they have. So, stack it up neatly and yeah.
Over the years, have you found that there have been more responsive companies that will come and pick up donations? Have you dealt with any vendors that you found were very helpful in this edit process for sellers?
Yeah, I have two companies that I really kind of are my go-to for this process. One is My Box, which is like pods.
Okay.
I like them because, I'm not trying to do this isn't a commercial for them.
Sure.
But they are local, which I always like to support local.
Yep.
And they store your things in a climate controlled warehouse, which I think is also really great. And they charge per truckload. They don't charge per pound. So if you fill a truck, then you're paying, I don't even know how much it is, but they will come pick up anything from playground sets to hot tubs I've even seen them take old junk cars out of people's yards.
Awesome.
And so if you have a lot of stuff like that just needs to be hauled away, they're a great resource because it's the same price no matter, especially if you have something super heavy like a playground, just per truckload. And they try to recycle as much as possible, which is also great.
Yes, that is awesome. I know you have another one to share.
Yes, number 2, replace worn or stained carpet. So, nobody wants to go into a house that looks dirty. They've spent a lot of money and they're moving into their dream home, but you've got stains on the carpet, and that's just kind of a letdown. So, that's a pushback I get from buyers that, hey, I want new carpet. Or something that I found frequently happens is buyers will ask for allowances for carpet or for whatever repairs they find they need. And almost 100% of the time, I would say probably 90% of the time, the allowance they ask for is quite a bit higher than what it would cost the seller to do that replacement, that, repair on the front end. And so it will actually cost them less to take care of it before they sell the house than to give an allowance after they're under contract.
I am so glad you said that. Had it have been, 6 months ago or a year ago, we may say, stretch the carpet, get it cleaned or whatnot. But as there are more listings coming on the market and more options for the buyers, as we're seeing that shift, you've got to put your best foot forward. I totally agree. I think that you can get away with a very inexpensive, fresh carpet, and it would totally just transform those showings.
Right. Move-in ready is always great.
Absolutely. Great advice. What do you have next for us, Amy?
Okay. Number 3, paint your interior. I always tell sellers, especially if the walls are scuffed up or they've painted custom colors in different rooms, paint is money in a can. It is the cheapest update you can do. But it makes a huge difference, and buyers love fresh paint. They love fresh paint.
Yes.
So that's always a win. And I would say pick a neutral color and stick with it throughout the house. Don't do, this one color in the living room, dining room, and then another color in the bedroom. And a lot of people have trouble picking out colors. So if that's something I can help people with, because if your hard surfaces are warm, you need to go with a warm color paint. If your hard surfaces are cool, you need to go with a cool tone paint. And that's something that a lot of people don't really get. But if you do if your hard surfaces are cool and you do a warm tone paint, it just feels off, and you can't really maybe put your finger on what's not right about it, but it just doesn't feel right. So that's something I help people with, is choosing their paint colors.
And you do that so well.
Thank you.
So what would you, if we had if someone's watching this and they just moved in and they want to paint their house, what would you say is like your go-to #1 paint color?
See, that's hard to say because I don't know what their hard surfaces look like. Right now, my #1 paint color are whites, but they have to be either cool or warm white, depending on their flooring, their countertop. I mean, because if you do the wrong color, then you end up with a domino effect, right?
Sure.
So if you have, I mean, gosh, Dover white's a great one. Snowbound's a great one. Those are Sherwin-Williams colors. But again, depending on what your countertops look like, et cetera.
Absolutely. Awesome. That's great advice. And you also wanted to talk a little bit about lighting. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So all the light bulbs in the house should match. Same light tone, whether they're cool or warm. My favorite, that's easiest on the eye and just kind of feels better when you walk in a house, is soft white. I would say go through your house and make sure all the bulbs in your house are soft white. But if you prefer the cool, bright daylight, just make sure that, you know, you don't have a fixture where you have some, you know, where your light bulbs don't match, and you really want them to be the same throughout the house. So soft or cool, whichever one you prefer, but make sure they're all the same.
Our last house we did, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
That's okay. That's it. You like the cool, I like the warm. So
I know, but I have found a happy medium. You'll be so proud of me. I like the bright whites now. So it's not the daylight, it's not the soft white. So it's kind of like a hybrid in between. So pretty. Love it. And also what I was going to add to that is save your receipts, get the LEDs, save your receipts, and give those receipts to your CPA for a tax deduction.
Well, and you should do that for the carpet and for the paint too. I mean, anything that you do to get your house ready to sell should be tax deductible. So keep all your receipts for everything.
Yes. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. What's the next thing on the list, Amy?
So the next thing on the list is pay attention to your curb appeal. And my #1 suggestion for that is to go outside, walk across the street, and take a picture of your house. And then look at it on this screen, because this is what your buyers are looking at. And a lot of times you'll notice things on that screen that you don't notice when you're just standing there looking at your yard. You see things, you see your house in your yard every day. And you see it, you know, in person, and you don't really notice that your shrubs are overgrown or whatever. But when you look at it on that little screen, then you see exactly what the buyer is going to see. And that helps you to really be more critical. So I suggest you put in new sod if you have bare spaces in your yard, add fresh flowers that are seasonal. Fresh mulch is always great, and start working on that weed control. Get weeds under control so that your yard, when you're ready to list, looks great in photos and on this little screen.
Absolutely, because sometimes that can take time. So if you know that you're planning on listing 6 months, you know, to a year from now, get started. Just get started as soon as you can. So that way it looks pristine.
Get ahead of it.
Beautiful curb appeal when it's time. So good. You mentioned, I know before we had this call, you had mentioned painting your front door.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So it just, you know, a lot of people just, their door just looks tired, and that is your first impression when you walk up to the house. Your door, your lighting, anything on the front of your house needs to be fresh and clean. So a lot of people like those really bright doors. I know you said you like yellow. I've seen yellow, I've seen turquoise, I've seen red, but for selling, I have a tip for picking the right door color. If you're selling, I wouldn't go with one of those bright colors, even though they're really cute and fun. They're also very personal. So, you know, I mean, my personality, I wouldn't care for a yellow door. So if you take the darkest color in your brick and match your door to that, it's always going to look good.
Okay.
So, I mean, one of the colors that I go with a lot, because a lot of bricks have this color in it, is a Sherwin-Williams Black Fox. It's not black, but it's dark, like a really, really dark gray, but it works with so many bricks and it just looks really pretty on a door. So that's my go-to color, unless the house is unless that doesn't work with their brick, but in most cases it does.
We love Black Fox. That's what we put in our media room. Such a beautiful color.
Great color. Yes, it is.
Yes. Wonderful. So I know, did we cover everything, Amy, on your tips list before we
have a couple
you have a
more.
bonus. You have a bonus tip regarding your
the
kitchen and your primary bath.
Yes, the kitchen and primary bath.
Yes.
I would suggest giving those a mini makeover.
Okay.
And what that means is painting the cabinets, changing out the hardware, changing the lighting to give those rooms an update. So those are the rooms that typically sell the house, the kitchen and the primary suite. And so if you're going to put money into something besides carpet and paint, those are the areas to really, you know, that's your splurge. If you're able to, I would change out the, well, if you're able and your countertops are Formica or tile or, you know, one of those older, less desirable products, then I would say, you know, switch to quartz or granite or marble if you can afford it, but who can afford that right now, right?
And you don't necessarily need it, especially if you're selling.
Right. Yeah, it's not necessary. So I usually suggest even quartz because it is a less expensive option. It's beautiful, it's durable, and buyers love it. So, you know, but the simple things are painting cabinets, and that can be expensive, but not as expensive as replacing them. And it does make a huge difference. Replacing that cabinet hardware and changing out your lighting, those are simple things to do in both the kitchen and the primary bath that make a huge difference.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So over the years, you and I have worked together. We've been on these consultations together. Our clients have been staging and this and that. And we've had a lot of questions, you know, come about. And of course, it's always our goal to save the seller money, right?
Right.
How can we accomplish the goal of making this look newer, you know, edited, updated, all of those things, and saving the seller money? And I know that you and I were brainstorming beforehand, so we wanted to make sure that we could, you know, cram as many, you know, secret hacks into this call today as possible. So what do you have for us? Let's go through those, because I can't wait to share that.
Okay, so one of the greatest things you can do if your house is outdated, and like especially in a primary bathroom, and you have that gold shower surround, is to paint it. You know, people don't know you can paint it, but you absolutely can. There's a Rust-Oleum product that you need somebody who's good with spray paint, you know, to be able to do this and do it well and evenly. But it's so inexpensive. You just, you know, mask it off and paint it like the dark well rubbed bronze, and it looks fabulous. You can do the same thing with the fireplace surround. If it's gold, you can use a heat product or a heat safe product to, you know, to paint that black, and it just makes it look so much more updated instantly. It's so inexpensive. So that's one. Let's see, what else did we talk about? If your shower door is all spotted, which most people's are because they don't want to take the time to squeegee it, and even if they squeegee it, it ends up spotted. A great hack for getting those spots off is wiping your shower door down with a dryer sheet. It's incredible the difference that makes. And I myself was shocked when I saw how well that works. And then another product that I think is awesome for wood products like furniture. I even used it recently on my hardwood floors. I don't know what happened, but I had like some deep gashes that were going through the finish on my floor, and it just looked like, you know, there it is. And there's a product called Restore a Finish. I'm not sure who makes it, but you can get it at Home Depot, and you just rub it on the wood, and it's incredible. You would not believe what a difference it makes. I mean, the spots on my floor, you can't even see them. So those are 3 products that I love to tell homeowners about that will make a big difference in, you know, in how their home looks as far as upkeep, you know, because you want the home to look like it's been taken care of, but are very inexpensive. So, and you can use restore finish on furniture too. Doesn't have to be on their floors.
I remember we had a listing. I think they had pets and there were some scratches on, you know, some furniture, and they were able to use that. And it really did make a difference,
It was
because
incredible.
sometimes you don't realize, you know, that scratches and, you know, pet scratches, those kind of things can show up in pictures, right? On your nice furniture. And so that was a great tip I remember that listing. Such good stuff, Amy. You are so amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm just so blessed to have you as a part of our business. It's just, I'm just so grateful for you. If anybody has any questions, please drop them here. Amy will be happy to answer those for you. And of course, if you have other ideas for this show, please let me know. I'd love to have more guests on and bring you guys more value. But for now, I guess that's it. So Amy, we'll see you later. Bye for now.
All right. Thanks, Brittany. Bye.